Welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Nicolette. I'm from the marketing team here at LinkedIn. I'm here with my teammate, Vish. Vish, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, sure. My name is Vish. I'm also on the marketing team here at LinkedIn. We're so excited to have you here to join us for the welcome webinar. There's so much for us to cover. We're going to talk about the LinkedIn platform, what you can do here, and some of the easiest ways to get started. So excited to dive in.
Yes. Right before we do that, one really important thing for us, we'd love to hear from you today. We are a community here at LinkedIn, and Vish and I want to make this as engaging as possible. So something for you to do, no matter what device you're on, whether you're on your computer or your mobile device, there should be a chat box. What we'd love for you to do, one, introduce yourself. What is your name? Where are you dialing in from? What are you doing now? And honestly, what are you most interested in learning about today? There are obviously a lot of opportunities to network on LinkedIn, and we'll get through those by the end of this webinar. But share what you're most interested in chat, and we will get to them. And number two, more importantly, we know you have a lot of questions. Whether you have questions through the webinar or you're coming in with some questions, drop them into the chat, and we will have a Q&A session at the end where Vish and I will answer them. Cool. So let's start with introductions. Again, for those just joining, my name is Nicolette. I'm dialing in from Oakland, California. Vish?
I'm Vish. I'm calling in from San Francisco. Looks like we have people from all over in the chat. We got Crystal from Texas. Hello, welcome. Emmy in Hawaii. Sounds relaxing. Antoinette in Stockbridge, Georgia, just a bit south of Atlanta. Exciting. I love Atlanta. Christian in Gray, Georgia. A bunch of folks in Georgia.
Yeah.
Rose, Hudson Valley, New York. And I see Christina. I see you in Gainesville, Florida. Thank you all for joining from all over.
Yes, we're so happy that you're here. Okay, most of us are here today because we're either new to LinkedIn or we need a quick refresher. Vish and I are happy to say you are in the right place. There's going to be a lot to take in today, but we will move as slowly as possible, and we're going to make this journey as friendly and fun as possible. Cool. So let's get started. Here's a little bit of what we'll be covering today. The big question, what is LinkedIn for? We will then go through a little bit of a tools overview. I will hand it off to Vish to talk about how to get started. So Vish is actually a product expert, and he'll be walking us through a series of demos today to make it as easy as possible for you as you're joining LinkedIn. And finally, again, we will have a Q&A time. So for those just joining, please introduce yourself in chat, drop in any questions you have, and we will make sure we can get to them at the end. So I will get us started today, then hand it over to Vish. Let's take a look at LinkedIn overview. The LinkedIn community is the world's largest global online professional network, and we are so happy that you've joined us. As you can see, you're in great company. We have millions of members and millions of companies and hundreds and thousands of companies from all over the world across every industry and profession. We've also helped millions of people find jobs, new jobs, and their jobs through our online search tools and communities. Vish, fun fact, I personally landed my job at LinkedIn using LinkedIn's job search tools.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. We can definitely cover this, but it was actually a community behind me. I applied to the job on LinkedIn, and I used the InMail product. So there's a lot of ways to get to where you want to go using LinkedIn. Some fun facts. 3 people are hired every minute on LinkedIn. There are 14 million open jobs currently, and there are 500,000 companies using LinkedIn to find, source, and hire talent, just like everyone on this webinar. Here we go. This is the million-dollar question, right? Like, what can I do on LinkedIn? Great question. LinkedIn offers a number of tools and resources to help you grow professionally. The easiest way I can break this down for you is in 4 pillars. So we'll deep dive the pillars in a little bit, but just high level. 1, we have content. This is how you can stay up to date, right? Stay up to date with the latest industry news and professional insights. 2 is community. We want you to make connections here. We want you to keep in touch with your old colleagues, your new colleagues, your professional network, even the people that you meet in this webinar today. 3, we have jobs. This is where you can discover new opportunities to land your next role. And finally, 4, learning. We always have to have an always be learning mentality, right? So this is where you can expand your professional skills through online courses. Before we move on, Vish, I'm actually curious, how do you spend most of your time on LinkedIn?
You know, I really use LinkedIn for the community. It's really amazing to be able to stay in touch with folks from all different stages of my professional life. And usually I'm keeping up to date with what they're up to through the content that they're posting, whether it's job updates or news updates.
Yeah.
That's how I'd like to try and stay engaged with them.
I'm actually the same way. I use LinkedIn for my community the most, but thank you for bringing up content. It's the perfect segue to our next slide. Professional content. This is where we can talk about LinkedIn. Is the platform that helps you stay up to date with professional news and knowledge all in one place, right? The various ways you can get your news. 1, LinkedIn News. Vish, I don't know if you know this, but we have over 75 editors from every part of the globe, almost every part of the globe, that are writing up-to-date news and industry updates about what's going on in the world. You're getting information, the latest information at the right time. We also have community content. This is the articles, videos, and other updates from companies and the people that you're following on LinkedIn. And finally, for those in this webinar, you already have a leg up. This is where you can develop professional skills. You can stay up to date on industry knowledge and learn about companies of interest.
You know, the LinkedIn news part's super interesting. I've had a chance to talk to the news team, and they really operate like a real newsroom that you might find at other publications. So it's pretty amazing what they're doing and being able to give us updates in every time zone.
I love that. I get most of my news when I hop onto LinkedIn in the morning. There's always up-to-date information on the right-hand side. Maybe if we have time, you can show us a little bit of that in the demo.
Yeah, absolutely.
LinkedIn is also the best place online to help you cultivate and stay in touch with your professional network. So going back to what Vish and I said we use LinkedIn most for, this is where you can connect and stay in touch with your network. This is where LinkedIn is somewhere you can make connections. You can get network updates. What are the people in your circle talking about, right? This is where you can stay in touch. All the people that you've met over your professional career, even your personal career, what are they doing? You can stay in touch. You can send them messages. Just stay connected. This is a social place. And finally, get referred. We're going to talk about jobs in a second, but the connections you make will help you get to where you want to go tomorrow.
Hey, Nicolette, fun fact. Did you know that job seekers are 4 times more likely to find a new job opportunity through their network?
That's a really, really big number. So you're telling me that by having a connection on LinkedIn, if I find a job where my connection is connected, it'll help my chances 4x.
Yeah, I mean, you can engage with them. You can learn more about the role. You can help them potentially give you a referral. There's a lot of things you can do once you have that relationship on LinkedIn.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. That's perfect. Into our next segue, let's talk a little bit about jobs. Everyone on this call, when you're ready to look for your next opportunity, LinkedIn has a plethora of tools that can help you find and land your next job. On LinkedIn, you can find jobs, right? You can search and browse job openings. 2, this is where you can get discovered. There are signals that you can actually send out to recruiters and companies to tell them that you are looking. Vish will walk us through this in a little bit. This is where you can do a lot of research. So what companies are you interested in? What are the salary benchmarks? How's the culture like? LinkedIn has tools that will let you do a deep dive into what's most important to your job search. Finally, we want to apply to jobs, right? Once you find the job that you love, how do you apply to them? That will also come up in our demo. So whether you're ready to make your next move or you need to brush up on your next set of skills, LinkedIn can definitely help you with that. So our final pillar, let's move into learning. LinkedIn offers a variety of high quality curated online courses that will help you make your next move. That will help you stay up to date. We have technical and soft skills. So thousands of courses on business, on creative, on any technical category that you want to stay up to date with. We have job search guidance, right? Get guidance on effective resume writing, on interview tips, the things that will be important for you to find your next job. And finally, a lot of us have made career pivots sometime in our career or interested in moving into something else. Usually a career pivot means there are different skills that come with that. LinkedIn is making sure that we have courses that will help you make the pivots that you want.
You know, Nicolette, I love the ability to engage with learning.
Again, yes.
And, you know, I learned this week actually that one of the top things that recruiters look at when they are evaluating candidates is their skills. Yeah. So learning is a great opportunity to continue to add skills to your profile and make yourself visible. Nice.
Something that I always do, there are skill assessment tests on LinkedIn as well. Usually when you take them, if you pass the skill assessment test, I've seen that it opens up those signals that we mentioned before to recruiters saying, I am qualified for this. So thank you for bringing that up. If there are more questions about this, please everybody drop them into chat. Vish and I will get to them. This was a lot, right? This was a lot in a short amount of time. But I hope the one takeaway that you took from this section is that the opportunity you have on LinkedIn is immense. We have content, we have community, we have jobs, we have learning. Whatever that you need to help you get the most out of your career, that's what LinkedIn is for. So speaking of getting help, we have Vish here, who's our product expert. He's going to walk us through a demo of how and where we can get started. So Vish, take us away.
Absolutely. There is so much you can do on LinkedIn, and especially if you're new to it, it might feel a little bit overwhelming. So today we're going to break this down and make it a lot easier for you. There are 5 things that we recommend you do to get started for a successful time on LinkedIn. First, set up your profile, make your presence known, tell people what your interests are, share a little bit more about your personality. Then add connections, build that community, create connections with all the people that are in your professional life. Maybe there's some other, volunteer experience, etc. All of these connections are valuable to add to your LinkedIn profile. Next, if you're looking for jobs, add in your job preferences. And finally, with all of these together, you're going to have a much better time finding jobs. So let's start with the profile. Your LinkedIn profile tells your professional story. It's kind of like your online resume, but with a bit more flair. It makes you part of the community and tells people who you are. So what's the point of building out your profile? Well, there are a couple really important reasons. First, recruiters and hiring teams are actually using your profile information to find candidates and proactively reach out and determine if you're a good fit. Also, if you're looking for jobs and you're looking for job recommendations for LinkedIn, having a complete profile helps LinkedIn give you the best recommendations that are most relevant to you. Now, don't get too stressed about filling it out so perfectly. You can always go and add stuff now and edit and continue to build on it in the future. So, don't feel shocked or have a writer's block when you're building out your profile.
As I personally often do.
And so some key components of your profile: your photo, of course, put on a good smile, your professional experience, education, skills, interests. There's so many different facets of your personality and your professional experience that you can put here. Recommendations from others, endorsements, and volunteer experience. So why don't we just dive in and walk through these one by one. So here I am on my LinkedIn profile. This is the homepage. And to get to your profile, you're going to go right up here where it says Me. And if you click here, you'll see View Profile. So let's go to my little demo profile account. And the first thing you can do right here up top is add your profile photo. So this doesn't have to be so fancy and professional. If you have one, great. But really, it should be something that reflects who you are. Also, if you want to add even some more personality, you can even add a little header image here as well. I like to put a little skyline here. I'm in San Francisco, for example. It's kind of cool to have there. Now, next is to add profile sections. You'll see here, there's this button called Add Section. this is going to be the core of your ability to add all the different facets of your professional history. So let's go in here. As an example, maybe I want to add some more work experience. Now, let's say I got my role in this profile as a sales manager. Maybe I got promoted to senior sales manager, and my employment is full-time. I'm still at this company, and I'm in San Francisco. Oh, here we go. So I'm starting today. It's May 2021. And since I'm getting promoted and I'm not in this old role anymore, I can actually go ahead and end this position. And I can choose for this to update my headline with my new title if I want. You can also customize this if you prefer. Finally, I can add details. What are my roles and responsibilities? What are some accomplishments? If you're not ready to add this in, no problem. You can leave it out for now and come back to it later when you have more to write. Finally, and most importantly, I really want to highlight this button right here, the section right here that says share with network. I know there are folks that may not want everyone in their network to see the changes that they're making to their profile. Some folks have expressed concern that if they make changes to their profile, maybe their company will notice and do something about it. If that's something that's a concern to you, there's always the flexibility to just toggle this to say off. Now, when you say off here, this means that your network will not get any updates that you made a job change, education change, etc. If you do want it to go out to your network, of course, feel free to put on, and then the members of your network will see this new update, and you'll probably get some new notifications of people celebrating your new accomplishment. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this on just because I want to see what my network has to say about my new role, and hit save. So once I've done this, you'll see that my experience has now updated. Now there's the original role and this new role here.
Vish, I actually really appreciate that you brought up that part about privacy. That's always a concern that I even have on LinkedIn, right? You mentioned who can see my job updates, but I also had a question around, I always get a lot of questions around who can see my profile, who has access to this information, and is there ability to kind of limit who sees me online?
Yeah, so totally understand, and this is something that we hear a lot. You have full control over your privacy settings in your actual settings section of your LinkedIn profile. So if you want to limit who views your profile to be just the people in your network, or even you want further privacy, there's a lot of different flexibility for you to actually customize who sees what and how much of your profile is visible.
Awesome. Good.
All right, so let's move on to interests. Now, there are all sorts of folks on LinkedIn sharing interesting information in different industries with thought leadership, companies providing updates about what they're up to, publications giving news and new information that they may be sharing out with the broader community. LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to keep track of all of these things that matter most to you. So let's go and explore how we might go add some interests to our profile so that when we do have updates in our feed, which is over here, we're back on our home page. Now, just as a reminder, I know I just moved kind of quickly. I went to the home page by clicking this LinkedIn icon. You can also click this home icon. Both of them will take you to the same place. So if we want to find interests, take a look right over here on the left side. You'll see it might say groups, events, hashtags, and there's a button that says Discover More. I'm going to go ahead and click Discover More. In this section, you're going to see lots of different people, companies, entities that you can follow that are posting actively on LinkedIn with interesting information. So some recommended people for me. We have different pages. So let's say I'm interested in CNN. I can go ahead and click follow. It's based on the industry that I've selected on my profile. Notice how the information you put on your profile helps LinkedIn give you better recommendations. So already LinkedIn has observed that I'm in this industry, and there may be some of these entities that I want to follow and to keep up to date. Now, if you can't actually find one that's really specific to your interests, you can also just search them directly. So let's say I'm interested in Instagram, and maybe I didn't see this over here. I can click Instagram right here, and I can see what's going on their page. And it looks like this profile is owned by Facebook, so I can follow Facebook.
Nice. One question that I have. So I think it's really awesome that we can follow companies and kind of go after our interest groups. But you said it, I said it, we're here for the people connections. How do I find people and how do I connect with them?
Absolutely. Adding your connections, one of the most important parts of being in the LinkedIn community. You can't have a community without being connected to people.
Yep.
So this is your way to stay in touch with your professional network, connect with past, current coworkers, friends, and family. They're all individuals that are valuable to your network. We've heard from some folks that they're not sure if they can connect with their significant other or people that are close to them in that regard. No worries at all. It's totally fair game to invite and connect with these individuals. So when you find people you know and send them a connection request, there's a couple things you can now do. In your feed, back on the homepage, you can see the content they're posting as they post it. You can also get notified about their key milestones. So maybe they have a birthday coming up, maybe they started a new job, for example, in the example we just shared. And also you can stay in contact through posts or private messages. So now you can message them with total freedom to send as many messages as you want. So why don't we go ahead and explore how we might add connections. There are two main ways to add your connections. First is to upload your contacts. A great way to kind of get a head start on which connections are most important to your network is to add the contacts from an email that you typically use. So let's see how to do that. We're going to go right up top here. There's a button that says My Network. And one of the first things that you're going to see here is Add Personal Contacts. So I'm not going to go through this whole process, but basically you put your email in, you hit Continue. It's going to import the contacts that it observes are actually on LinkedIn. And one thing I want to call out, it will not send a connection request to every single person in your email list. What it will let you do is select which are the people that are most important that you want to add, and you can specifically and intentionally connect with them. So don't worry, you won't be overwhelming people with a huge amount of connection requests. There's another way that we can go ahead and add new contacts, and you can just search for them directly. So Nicolette, let's say I want to connect with you on LinkedIn. I can search your name here, and you can see how it kind of auto-populated. It already started to predict who I'm talking about. And you'll see a button right here that says Connect. So let's go ahead and connect. And before I hit send, I want to call out this little feature right here, which is add a note. So if you do add a note, something that's personal, maybe, hey, Nicolette, we met last year at a conference, looking forward to to make you part of my network.
Love it. I'll add you right away.
Something like that. And we have found that folks who do add a personalized note do have an increased chance of making connections. Now, who should we connect with? It's best to connect with the people that you know. So I know Nicolette because we work together. But if there is someone that, maybe they're at a different company, maybe they are not someone that you know, but they are working in a space that you're interested in, it might be best for you to get some sort of intro to these strangers that you haven't necessarily met directly. You could do that through mutual connections. You can also just follow them and see what content that they're posting on LinkedIn and engage with that content. It's another unique way to start a dialogue with that person, even if you've never actually met them in person. So next, we're going to hop over to adding your job preferences. We know that there are many folks on LinkedIn who are looking for jobs. There are a lot of people, recruiters and companies on LinkedIn that are actively hiring. So adding your job preferences does a few things for you. First is it helps recruiters find you for the right opportunities. They're using this information to evaluate and find the best candidates. Also, if you're maybe casually browsing or you prefer to get alerts and recommendations in your email, you can actually add your job preferences, set up job alerts, and it will improve the relevance of the job recommendations that you do get. So why don't we go and explore how we might go about doing this. So we are going to go back to our profile. So in order to do so, we're going to click this me up at the top right, and I'm going to click view profile. And the first button that you're going to see over here is something that says open to. Now, open to can do a couple things. If you're open to finding a new job, you can click right here and let recruiters know that you're open to work. Or let's say you're a hiring manager or a recruiter yourself. You can say that you're open to hiring, and it'll share with the LinkedIn network that you are hiring, and you can actually start getting more candidates that way. Excuse me. We're going to start with open to finding a new job. So I'm going to click here. LinkedIn has already pulled in some basic information. Says that I'm a sales manager based on the title that I put in. It says the location that I'm in based on the information that I put in my profile. I'm living in Hawaii. Exciting. I know that we have some viewers here from Hawaii. But maybe I'm also interested in a different city. I'm just going to put San Francisco for simplicity because I'm here right now. And also, we live in a world of remote work. If this is something I'm open to, I can also explicitly say this here. Now, your start date. Maybe you're very actively looking for a new role as soon as possible, or you're casually browsing. LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to select which one. So I'll put flexible for now, just for the sake of this demonstration. And then finally, another privacy feature here. You see it says, choose who sees your open. Now, this is another situation where folks might be a little concerned if their company is aware of them updating their profile or looking for a job. You can select that only recruiters can see your profile is open to work. Also, if you do want to tap into your network, we did mention that folks are more likely to find a job by tapping into their network. You could make it visible to all LinkedIn members. And what that's going to do is put a little logo above your profile, and it says open to work, and it'll make it a lot more visible for not just recruiters, but people in general to see that you're open. I'm going to say recruiters only because this is typically most of the time what I do personally. And I'm going to say add to profile. So now my profile says I'm open to work for sales manager roles, and recruiters can now see that when they are searching for sales managers.
Nice. So Vish, one question. I on the other hand, if I'm open to work, love that green circle, and I love seeing the green circle through my network. If I didn't go recruiters only and I said open, I would get a green circle around my face, right?
Correct. You get kind of this green banner here that says open to work very visibly.
Nice. Perfect.
And we actually do have data to indicate that the folks that enable open to work also have a higher likelihood of securing their next opportunity.
Through connections, through the network we have.
Through connections, it's the power of the community. So finally, we want to discover open jobs. Find the right ones that you can, for your next role and your next play on LinkedIn. You can browse millions of open jobs, search and filter by the criteria that matters most to you. Create job alerts and be reminded, on a daily or weekly basis, depending on your preferences. And of course, this can be your one-stop shop to keep track of the jobs that you're applying to. I know that it can be tedious to apply to many different roles and not remember where you applied or not know what the status is. Some people might keep it in a spreadsheet, something like that. Here, you can do it all in one place right on LinkedIn. So let's explore what that looks like. I'm going to go up to here where there's a button that says Jobs. And right up top, you're going to see a couple different options. You'll see My Jobs. So this is where your saved jobs are going to be. Job alerts, and we're going to touch on this. So setting alerts so that when a job that's relevant to you is posted to LinkedIn, you're one of the first to be aware of it. Salary insights. If you're trying to figure out how your pay or your expected pay compares in different geographic locations and different industries, this is a great tool for you to get a better understanding of that. And skills assessments. So Nicolette did mention you can fill out a pretty straightforward quiz. It's 30 minutes, 15 questions, and you can prove the skills that you have. It's something that I've tested out as well, and LinkedIn actually does send me specific job recommendations for having completed that skill assessment. So another channel for you to get more opportunities available to you. And the biggest and most important component of the jobs page is the ability to actually search for a new job. You can add in title, skill, company, whatever it might be, as well as your location. So why don't we do one search? Let's say I'm looking for more sales manager roles, and apologize for my spelling. I'm going to do it in, what did I say? There's some folks from Georgia, so let's say Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice.
And boom, right off the bat, I can see a list of all the jobs all the companies that are hiring and all the roles that are available. Looks like Google is actively recruiting for a sales excellence coaching lead. And I can click apply right here, and it will take me to Google's application page for us to complete. Now, if I'm not ready to apply to this job right now, but I'm kind of just skimming, I can click save. And now this is going to go into my saved jobs section. Now, let's say this first search isn't exactly what I'm looking for. There are some more specific details that I want to clarify to make sure that the roles that are listed are the most important to me. So let's talk, maybe it's experience level. I'm looking for a mid to senior level role, and I'm looking for jobs that were posted in the past 24 hours. You know, maybe if I apply to a job right after it's posted, I might have a better chance. I didn't save this, so make sure to click show results when you do click this filter. Job type, full-time contract, and you can even add remote work to the filters. Now I have a whole new set of filters here that are more specific to my needs. So we mentioned apply. You'll see a couple different ways that apply might show up. Here, this says apply now, and you'll actually see a little LinkedIn icon here. What this means is that you can actually apply to the job directly on LinkedIn. It'll pull all the information that you put so much effort into populating on your profile and help you create a job application very efficiently. There's some other roles which maybe they're not actually on LinkedIn specifically. So here you'll see a little icon here that says external link. So if I click apply, it's going to take me to Ada's specific jobs page. Either way, you can save the jobs and make sure that you can keep track of them all along the way. So I mentioned saving jobs a couple times. I want to show you how you can actually go back and find them. We're going to click this jobs button again. That's what I did to get back to the main page. And I'll click my jobs right here. And here we are. These are some of the saved roles that I've applied to, and it's even giving me some more indication. I can be an early applicant for a role. So this is a great way to keep things organized on your job search and help minimize some of the stress that comes along the way with the uncertainty of looking for a job.
I think this is such a great tool. There are job seekers at every part of the spectrum, right? Like active appliers, they're casual browsers. But what I do is I usually save the jobs that I think are right for me or even where I want to go so I can keep a pulse on where I am in my career. That was super, super helpful. Thanks, Vish.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that wraps up the demo section of our webinar. And Yay. We'd love to open the floor up to some questions.
Yes, let's do that. Vish, I kind of wanted to share one takeaway before we jump to questions. And for folks who have just joined or have joined in the middle, we are now going to move into Q&A. So please continue to ask us questions in the chat box. But Vish, my one takeaway from your entire demo was one, of course, it's a lot. I'm trying to think of when I first started on LinkedIn, or as for people just getting ramped up, there's so many different options. But I love that you highlighted that there are specific buttons at the top that'll get to you to where you want to go, whether it's like my network, whether it's jobs. It's pretty straightforward as long as you kind of follow the steps, right?
Absolutely. Try to keep it as organized as possible for you.
Love it. You are 100% the product expert. Okay, so Vish, you as a product expert, there are actually a lot of questions coming in feed about the product. So I'm going to kick you off. Jeff, who joined, is asking, is there a way to customize the notifications that I get? I'm retired. I just don't need the notifications about work-related issues. I'm here as a self-employed author.
All right, Jeff, thank you for the question. And this is a really relevant one. Yes, you can select which types of notifications you receive. You actually have many options in your settings for notification settings. It gets kind of as granular as you want. At a high level, you can determine whether you want notifications through email, through push notifications, so the little banner that shows up at the top of your phone, or what we call in-app. Now, in-app notifications sit right here in this kind of notifications tab over here. So you can customize which notifications you get and which channels serve you those notifications. So if you're not interested in job-related notifications, no problem. You can go ahead and deselect those notifications specifically in your settings. And if you want to know how to get to settings, I think that might be helpful to show here. If you go to Me again, this is the same place you went to view your profile. There's a settings and privacy section right here where you can go ahead and make those changes.
One more question before we hop off of that demo. The next question actually came from William, and he asked, how can you go, I got a notification, how do I go back and review comments that I've initiated or replies that I've sent to others? Where do I keep track of all this?
Yeah, so private messages always sit in the messaging tab. So these are kind of these direct messages that you might be sending. If I were to send you a message, Nicolette, that would show up right here, and it's private, no one else can see it. Now, for public conversations, maybe you did reply to a post or have some activity, you can go to your profile itself, and this is my demo profile, so it doesn't have too much activity, but there is a section here that says activity. And you can hit see all activity, and it's going to tell you what activity have you engaged with, what articles are you commenting on, or people commenting on, et cetera, that is relevant to the ones that you engaged with.
Love it. So basically, if somebody sends me a message, I go to the messaging tab. If I wrote a comment somewhere and I want to see a response, I'll go to notifications tab.
You can go to notifications tab. Notifications tab will show it to you kind of in chronological order.
I see.
But if you want to, if maybe that's not the specific post that showed up, you can go right to your profile, scroll down to activity, and hit see all activity.
Nice. So that's basically all of my activity. So what I put on and how people react to me.
Yeah, or if you were to post to comment on someone else's page, you may see that here as well.
I love that it is all in one place. Super helpful. All right, let's take another question. Everyone, please keep your questions coming. We will answer as many of them as we can. Let's take a different question. This one is about learning. I know we didn't do a big product demo on learning, but Tina is asking, are the learning videos free?
Sure, great question. There are hundreds of free courses available on LinkedIn Learning. But to get the full experience of LinkedIn Learning and get access to the full catalog, there is a monthly subscription to engage with those courses. So personally, I've used it for a course on like data analysis. There's really, the content is really rich with really engaged professors as well. So if you're not sure if you want to do that monthly subscription, you can actually do a 1-month free trial and try it out yourself and poke around and see if it's the right thing for you.
Love it. I don't know if you do this as well, Vish, but I also take learning courses. And once you take a learning course, there is usually an option at the very end to say, add to my profile. So even on your profile, I have the list of all the courses that I've taken, kind of like the sales assessment. So, recruiters and companies will know what I'm qualified for.
Yeah, great way to showcase your skills and your accomplishments.
Yes. All right. Lots of questions coming in. This is good. We have a question here from Wendy. Ooh, this is a good question. I think about this often. Wendy is asking, who is appropriate to ask for a recommendation? And we didn't cover recommendations, so if you can give us like a 30-second overview.
Yeah, sure. So recommendations come in the form of like endorsements, and you can actually have someone physically write out a recommendation about you on your profile. The most appropriate people to ask for recommendations are people that you've worked with, people familiar with the work that you do, or people that you've partnered with in different projects if it's not specifically at work. there is a opportunity to potentially request like an internal recommendation. So for example, I know some folks who may have reached out to someone at a new company. They may not have met them before, but you managed to kind of get a phone call with them. You introduced yourself. You had the opportunity to make that relationship in more than just a connection that you may have sent, a connection request you may have sent them. And at that point in time as well, once you've built that level of rapport, it's also helpful to, it's not a bad thing to ask for a recommendation or a referral from those people as well. Most people want to help you, but they don't want to help people they don't know necessarily. Yeah. So build that rapport, and then it's always okay to ask for a recommendation or a referral.
That's great advice. The way I see recommendations on LinkedIn, this also sits on our profile, right? So I see this as a very public reference. So again, for job seekers, this is a great way to reach out to an old manager. I've done it in the past and say, hey, I would love for you to back me up. Like, we've worked together in the past. I've had a great relationship with you. Will you write me a recommendation? So the next time I'm looking for a job, or if my next potential employer wants to kind of get a reference check, they can read those recommendations. I've written them in the past for coworkers. I've asked for them in the past for coworkers. So I think this is a really cool tool to have on LinkedIn.
And one tip that's not a LinkedIn specific tip, but just generally for recommendations, it's helpful to help them help you. So if there's a specific type of skill that you want to make sure that they really focus on, let them know. Say, I really want to make sure that my resume is complemented with people understanding my leadership skills, or my data analysis skills, or my customer relationship skills. Help them understand what are the topics that you want them to cover. And that'll make the recommendation that much more complementary to your profile.
Really, really, really solid advice, Vish. Okay, let's take a few more questions because they are coming in. Everybody, as questions pop up, drop them into the chat. We're going to get to them. Let's take one for, we should have two, but let's take one from Adalia, I believe. Do you recommend knowing the person before asking to connect with them?
Yes. Top priority would be to connect with people that you do know. Now, if you don't know the person directly, there's still ways for you to engage with them and have a dialogue. You could see what content that they're posting and engage with them there. You can also join groups and see who the people that have similar interests. Great place to have a conversation about those similar interests and build relationships that way. Once you have that dialogue in the groups, then it's much easier to make a connection request that the other person will actually accept.
Makes sense. So for instance, if I wanted to follow a celebrity on LinkedIn, if I try to connect with them, maybe they're not interested in connecting back with me, but I can hit the follow button to stay up to date with what they're talking about, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I could actually kind of show you what that looks like.
Please.
When you look at someone's profile, they may actually put their preference as follow. So you may see that as the main button. So I'm just going to go to my profile here. And you can see I actually set it to follow. So I could click right here and click follow. Now, if it doesn't say follow, if it says connect, you can always go to more. And here it says connect because connect is over here, because follow is over here. This would say follow.
Got it. You answered the next question I had, Vish. You're so on it today. All right, we have another question here from Antoinette. So Antoinette is asking, Vish, I was asked to send my resume in messages. How am I able to do that? Yeah,
so if you need to send an attachment, you can do that in a private message for sure. In your inbox when you're writing a message. So let's try this out. Let's say I want to message Nicolette. Oh, not connected yet. So anyway, let's say we're connected. You can click this paperclip here and attach whatever it is that you want to attach into your message.
And once you hit send, they will have your resume and we should be solid from there. I think we have time for about one more question, Vish. Thank you so much. But we have a question from Tavanda. And Tavanda is asking, what's the difference between first, second, and third connections?
Yeah, great question. So A first degree connection is someone that you are directly connected to. So if Nicolette accepts my connection request that I sent during this demo, then we will become first degree connections.
Got it.
Now, a second degree connection, maybe there's someone that's connected with Nicolette that's not connected with me. That person is a second degree connection because they are 2 steps away from me.
Yes.
And then so forth. So third degree connection is, people that are connected to the people connected to Nicolette.
Isn't there like a game about this? This is so good.
I think it's called six degrees of Kevin Spacey.
One of the Kevins. Kevin Bacon, Kevin Spacey.
Or Kevin Bacon, yeah.
Yeah. Love it. That makes sense. I think I've noticed that as well. Usually if it's a connection who's not really in my circle of networks, it says like 3+. So that probably just means you're just not that close to Kevin Bacon yet. Okay, that was all the time we had for questions today. Wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. We were so happy to have you, but Vish and I have one more ask, and that is we would love your feedback. This is actually very important because we want to know what we did well. Did we give you the information that was helpful for you? Was this even relevant in your journey into LinkedIn? We'd actually love to hear the good and the bad. What can we do better for you next time? So if you look over on the screen, there is a link. It is lnkd.in/ww. Please drop this link. This link should also be in the chat now, but drop it into a new tab, drop it into your phone. I promise it actually should not take more than 1, max 2 minutes. So please take some time. Again, Vish and I want to make sure that this was as engaging and knowledgeable for you as possible, and we would really love the feedback.
We really do read all of the feedback submissions and incorporate that into our future sessions.
Yes. So we kind of want to say goodbye, but as you're dropping in your feedback, but thank you so much again for joining us today. We hope that this was informative. We hope this was fun. We hope that you got to know myself and Vish, and more importantly, LinkedIn through this journey. We look forward to seeing you on LinkedIn.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.